Well, folks, what you're getting ready to see is a little bit from Family 15. We didn't want to show who he was or anything. The Helping Hands program is helping finance the new property that his new home is going to be located on. The storm took so much of his land when the creek re-diverted, I will say, rechanneled. He's unable to build where his home was located. The creek now runs where his home once stood. And he told me the story about what took place, and we're going to be going through that. But our main goal yesterday was to go up and test his water. He himself had E. coli. One of his daughters had E. coli, and don't know where it come from. We're assuming the well. So we went up and made a test on his well water. You'll see the test showing. We made several tests right directly out of the well casing prior to going through any filters or anything. That was the best place to get that. There was a water valve there that allowed this, so we took advantage of it. And his test ranged between 51 parts per million and 60 parts per million. And a little chilly this morning. And so that was the main reason for going. And then he told us the story of escaping the storm. So now, family number 15 has a group coming in to underpin the campers so that the pipes don't freeze. And they are scheduled to come in sometime this coming weekend. And he is definitely worried about possibly freezing. They got down to 33 the night before. The night before we went up to deliver, temperatures got down to 33. And he's extremely worried about the pipes freezing under the campers because if they freeze, it's trouble. It's a mess. He's also saying that he's thinking that if he gets his everything underpinned and insulated, he can get through the winter with 100 pounds of propane. But that is faith right there. But he doesn't have to worry about that. He just doesn't know it, that we can provide him propane, and he won't have to worry. But he's got a lot of faith that 100-pound tank's going to last him all winter. But outside of that, he's got tremendous spirits. He's got a lot of faith, and he's raising these 3 girls by himself. So folks, Family 15 wanted to give you that information about it. There's a few pictures and stuff mingled in with this audio, and we just appreciate all the support and effort, the prayers that you've put in for Western North Carolina, and the support you've given to Big Ivy. They are very grateful for what they've received, and they're going to be going through it, sorting it all out, and kind of rationing in it because they don't want to cut this food loose. It'll be gone in a week, and they'll store it up wherever they can, and they want to make sure everybody has food throughout all the way to Christmas. Well, folks, thanks for watching. I hope everybody has a blessed day. We'll see you on the next video. Well, we're here at family 15, folks. Came over to check it out. I did a water test. They had been sick with E. coli, and this is the one that's got the 3 young daughters. And his house is sitting right here where you're looking, and storm washed the house down the creek here. He stood at the neighbors and watched his house go down the creek, and you can see where they've been in here with excavators and cleaned the creek out with buckets and everything, and built a berm on both sides so that they can keep the creek down in there, and hopefully the creek won't rise. But Emerge Ministries has placed a camper here. They're part of the Koalition, and this is what he's in right now until his new home scheduled to be rebuilt in the spring. So this is where family number 15 is living currently, and we wanted to show you what he is and his 3 daughters are looking at, and how everything's going here. And but he's water tested well, so that's a good thing. He's not got a contaminated well. Well, folks, we're going to tell you the story that he told us about the night of the hurricane and how they escaped. The wind was blowing fierce, he said, when all of a sudden a leak started in the living room. Now, he's asleep at this point. A leak started, and he was awakened when the sheetrock fell out of the ceiling and took out the big screen TV. He woke up at that point. He said as he woke up, he was trying to figure out what that noise was, which that's what it turned out to be. But he said he heard an awful noise coming from outside, and that was debris and water coming over the bridge like a waterfall. He said it was coming over the bridge at like 15 feet above the railings is where all the debris was backed up, and it dammed it up, and the water was blowing over the bridge. He said he looked down, and he said the house already had water up on the foundation, and it was beating on the foundation. He ran back into the house and told his girls to get their shoes on. They had to get out of there. So he rounded up the dogs. He said he's got Jack Russell Terriers. He said 2 of them was hiding. He grabbed them up, and they took them and they went into the well house, the old rock well house. He said they stayed in there a bit, and then they figured out when the water was coming into the well house, they needed to get out of there. So they proceeded for higher ground. By this time, the water was rushing across the road. It was up to his calf on his leg. And he said, I made a mistake at that point. That was my first mistake, was I didn't have the little one on my shoulders. That's what he said. He said they all had their hands connected like a chain, and they were going through the water. And he said they was debris and stuff coming by, and he said the little one was on the tail end, and he said if her hand would have slipped out of her sister's hand, she would have been washed away. He said, I wasn't thinking. But they made it to the neighbor's house and got the girls inside, and he watched his house wash away down the creek. And he said the bad thing about it was his wife had died several years before, and her ashes were in the house, so the girls have also lost that. He said, we lost everything we had except for what we were wearing. He said he was looking to go try to stay somewhere, and a neighbor offered him a house across the road that they use as an Airbnb. So he stayed there for about a week. He said then they moved in a tiny shed, and they moved into the tiny shed, and that's where they were when Emerge Ministries found them. When Emerge found out that they were all living in this tiny shed, they got moved into action and got them a camper. And they wound up getting them set up there where the old house stood, but they couldn't get it into the location where the old house stood because the creek rechanneled. And if you was looking at the video prior to it showing the campers, you could see that the creek was right there. Well, that's not where it was. It was further back toward those other houses in the distance. And his home stood there, and the creek was well behind it. But now the creek is right there, and it's barely enough room to put a 30-foot camper in there. He had to drill a new well because the old one was ruined, and it took every penny he had left to drill the well. And then after they got the campers set in and everything, they got, a couple of months later, they got sick with E. coli. And that just goes to correlate what Sharon was telling us in the video, that the majority of the drinking water in the area is no longer any good. But we tested his water, and it tested it several times. It tested between 51 and 60 parts per million, and this was prior to the filter. Now, he could have got E. coli from the water hose that was connected to the well, and then running into the camper. It could have been something in the water hose itself. But they poured bleach down in it, and everything has been okay since. And they're going to do that about once every 6 or 8 weeks just to make sure. But when it gets cold weather, he won't have to worry about that. But what he's going to have to worry about is his water freezing between the well and the camper. That's going to be a problem because his filter and everything is an inline filter on the water hose. And they're going to underpin the trailer this coming weekend and get it all squared away. But they'll have to do something with the well and the water supply from the well to get it to the camper. So that'll be another undertaking in itself. Well, folks, thanks for watching. I hope the videos have been informative, and this just shows what has happened around Big Ivy, the needs that are there, and we appreciate all of the continued support that you folks are continuing to do. Until next time, folks, have a blessed day. We'll see you on the next video.